Welcome to More Fanime. I am your fan of more anime, and today we will be taking a deep dive into one of my favorite characters in One Piece, into one of the greatest villains in One Piece history, into the man who set One Piece on fire in a good way, the man who put One Piece on the map, the villain that took One Piece from being a good anime, a good manga, into being a great series, a legendary series that I truly believe would never have reached the heights it has. It never would have reached its legendary status without Arlong, the Fishman, the leader of the Fishman Pirates, one of the first major villains in the series, one of the first true challenges for Luffy to overcome. Arlong, in my opinion, is not appreciated enough by the fandom. You should bow down to the greatness that was Arlong, the greatness that was Arlong Park. Everybody remembers the walk to Arlong Park. Arlong made Nami's childhood a living hell. He murdered her mother in front of her eyes, and then took her captive and forced her to be his navigator. And the fact is that later on, when we learn about Arlong's backstory at Fishman Island, when we learn about his hatred for the human race, it is pretty impressive that he found Nami's map drawing skills so impressive, especially at such a young age. I mean, I'm sure she was good at the time, but she couldn't have been better than anything Arlong had ever seen. But he saw potential in Nami. He saw it, and he took her under his wing. He gave her her own room. The truth is, I have been waiting a long time to talk about Arlong. I actually waited until after I finished the Fishman Island arc, which I recently did. And now I know so much more about Arlong's backstory, why he hates the humans so much. I mean, look what happened to Fisher Tiger. Humans, the ones at least that Arlong had experienced to that point, were terrible. And plus, growing up, I mean, Arlong was taught to believe that fishmen were 10 times stronger than humans, which is a true fact. Taught to believe that they are the superior race, but only because the humans did the same thing to the fishmen for generations and generations. They turn a blind eye to the slavery at Sabaody, and I'm sure at other places. Arlong's hate is not something that I believe is his fault. I still, to this day, believe that Arlong deserves a little bit of a redemption arc. Arlong is still one of my favorite villains in the series this far in, which is very impressive since he hasn't returned since his debut. Yes, we've seen some flashbacks at Fishman Island, and we're dealing with Jinbei now, basically his brother in arms. But we haven't seen Arlong since in the present. We don't know what he's up to. We assume he's a prisoner somewhere. My theory is Arlong is become a slave to the celestial dragons. His worst fear has come to life. And I do hope one day Nami and Arlong will reunite. And somehow, some way, he will get a little bit of a redemption arc, because I think Arlong deserves it. He grew up in an environment that made him who he was. So I think also that Arlong did care for Nami a little bit. I do truly believe that. I almost felt that Arlong and Nami had the same type of relationship that Thanos and Gamora have in the Avengers Marvel cinematic universe. He truly saw her almost like a daughter. He helped her out in a way. Yes, he held her as a prisoner. Yes, he treated her like shit, but if you remember her return to Arlong Park, he treated her like a comrade, like a member of his crew. He didn't want her to leave his crew. He almost felt it like it was a betrayal. Like, to Arlong, letting her onto his crew was the ultimate compliment. And not letting her leave his crew was an additional compliment. I truly believe he felt that way. Arlong believed humans to be less than because humans believed fishmen were less than. So he was taught this belief. But the fact is, he treated he treated Nami very well. He could have shackled her to her room and made her draw maps all day. But no, he let her go off into the sea to steal treasure. Because he gave her an option out of being part of his crew, which, in the end, he didn't necessarily uphold that option, but because he felt betrayed, because she wanted to leave his crew. The fact is, Arlong hated humans so much for what they did to Fisher Tiger, and yet he allowed Nami into his ranks. He treated her like one of his generals, like Hachan. He treated her like family. And that is crazy if you look at Arlong's backstory. So I do believe the guy has a little bit more depth to him than what was shown to us at Arlong Park. So I do hope we get to see this guy again. And I do think that he is absolutely fantastic. I think that he deserves a return arc. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Arlong had an amazing fight with Luffy. One of Luffy's best fights early on. And I truly believe the only reason Luffy was able to win, and I'm sure this could be argued, is Luffy had some inherent haki, which is shown later on. And he was able to tap into it through his emotions, through his anger at seeing Nami's room where she was forced to draw maps and whatnot. This room that she considered a prison. He saw this room that she was abused in. And tapped into the haki and broke Arlong's badass soft-nosed shark sword with his bare hands, which could not be done, I believe, honestly, by regular Luffy. Luffy tapped into some form of haki, in my opinion, and was able to beat Arlong with emotions and anger behind him. This fight was glorious. I truly enjoyed it. And another thing is, Arlong knows what strength is. One of my favorite moments in the Arlong Park arc is when he's holding up Zoro's almost lifeless body and he sees the scar that across his chest that was given to him by Hawkeye Miha. And he says, what? This guy is barely alive. And he's taken out my greatest swordsman, my right-hand man, Hachan. He just keeps going. I need to finish this man off now, or he could be a true problem. I believe that Zoro could have put up a damn good fight against Arlong. And not only that, I believe that Zoro might have been able to defeat Arlong at this point if he was a healthy Zoro. I really appreciated the moment of Arlong recognizing the power that Zoro had behind him, the will to keep fighting. I really would like to see Arlong again. His backstory was actually pretty sad if you think about it. His mentor Fisher Tiger, his brother-in-arms, Jinbei, both kept telling him, hey man, stop killing humans without, good reason. You're gonna give us a bad name. And he still stood against it. That's how much hate he had in his heart. And then, after they kept telling him, hey, humans aren't that bad. Look at this little girl, Koala. We're going to take her back to her parents. We're going to treat her right. And then she's going to tell her parents about how nice we are. And he still was like, I kind of want to eat her because she's a human and she's trash. Or she should be my slave, I'm assuming was going on in Arlong's head. But then the betrayal that happens, the plan that was enacted onto Fisher Tiger to capture Fisher Tiger, and then finding out that Fisher Tiger was a slave who escaped and was afraid, and then finding out that Fisher Tiger would not accept human blood, really set Arlong on his path of destruction to head to the East Blue and take over to set his own legacy on the blood of his people, standing on the body of Fisher Tiger metaphorically. Arlong probably felt like he was doing justice for Fisher Tiger and the people who had suffered, his people who had suffered, by making humans suffer every day that he could. At least the humans in Nami's hometown village, he made them basically into his slaves. I mean, he let them live a regular life. He just wanted a shiz ton of money from them on a monthly basis. And he gave them the option. He wouldn't let them leave, obviously. And he paid off some government stooges in the East Blue to keep his bounty low, to keep his bounty from changing, to keep Jinbei from finding out about his mischievous deeds. Arlong truly deserves your guys' respect. I do believe so. I would love to see the guy make another appearance in the series, especially now that Jinbei is such an important character in One Piece, the brother-in-arms. I do believe that Arlong at one point was much stronger than he is shown to be at Arlong Park. I believe that he let himself go by being in the East Blue, the weakest sea. He was dealing with humans, not normal, normal everyday humans he was dealing with. He wasn't dealing with humans like Luffy or Zoro or technically any Devil Fruit users to begin with. He was just dealing with basic ass villagers, forcing them to do whatever he wants. He had a large crew of fishermen which were all 10 times stronger than every human in this island. So yes, Arlong put his feet up on his recliner and he relaxed for many, many years. And he just reaped the benefits. Nobody could stop Arlong in the East Blue. I truly believe that there wasn't a villain in the East Blue that we met that could handle Arlong. Arlong is lucky that Hawkeye Mihawk didn't happen to stop by the village on his way back to the Grand Line after dealing with Don Krieg or some shiz. But I really believe that Arlong deserves a redemption arc. And you might call me a crazy man. You might say, no, that is not true. Arlong was pure evil for what he did to Nami's mother. It was one of the most brutal deaths early on in One Piece for sure. And her death really set Nami on a path which led her to the family that she has now. And she even admitted that to Jinbei, saying that, Arlong did some shitty shiz to me and my sister and the villagers I lived with around and made my life a living hell. Yes. But if it wasn't for Arlong, I would not be as strong as I am today, for sure. I would not have met the Straw Hat crew, who I love dearly. So really, Arlong was kind of like a father figure to Nami. He sent her out into the world to be a cat burglar, to steal and learn and become stronger. And he forced her to study maps and learn how to be a great navigator from the inside of her bedroom, which he gave her. So Arlong gave her all the tools that she needed and the motivation to push her past her limits, to make her more than a regular person, more than a regular villager. So in a lot of ways, Nami needs to thank Arlong. So there's still a door there that needs to be closed. There is still some untapped story to be told between Arlong and Nami, in my opinion. I think that if down the line the Straw Hat crew runs into Arlong and Chu and the rest of the Arlong Pirates that might be with him, even if it's just Arlong, they might get to have a deep conversation about his treatment of her, and he might have learned some humility being imprisoned for a while, for a couple years. I mean, he didn't the first time, but he was so angry and young and motivated to avenge Fisher Tiger. So maybe now that he's possibly been a little bit humbled after losing to Luffy. I mean, look what happens to Bellamy. He was a little bit humbled. And he learned from his mistakes, and now he believes in dreams. So maybe Arlong possibly realizes that he cared for Nami, and he just showed it in a terrible, awful way. I think there was a point when I was reading One Piece, when I was watching One Piece, where I thought, man, this guy would be such a cool villain turned good guy. Like, get the Vegeta treatment. Like, he would have been great to somehow join the Straw Hat crew down the line. Which I truly believe could not happen now, at this point in the story. And especially, after what he did to Nami's mom. But I can believe that if she's willing to slightly forgive what he did to her, to Jinbei, I think that maybe part of her could forgive Arlong for what he did, because it led to her life now that she loves oh so much, and her family, the Straw Hat crew. So she could forgive Arlong for that, even though he is a terrible murderer who killed her mother. But she also now understands what Arlong grew up in. He grew up in the ghetto of Fishman Island. And I think that she can possibly sympathize with Arlong, who probably grew up very poor, surrounded by anger. His environment was not ideal at all, in any way, shape, or form. This guy, he was a tough SOB in his time. I think that he was very strong. He was the third strongest man in Fisher Tiger's crew, in the Sun Pirates. Because he was, I'm assuming, because him and Jinbei were the prominent characters in that flashback. My assumption is he was the left-hand man to Fisher Tiger, so he was the Sanji of that crew. He was never as strong as Jinbei. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that back in his heyday, when he was hanging out with fishmen like Jinbei, tough SOBs, like Fisher Tiger, he was probably just as tough. He didn't learn Fishman karate, I believe. At least it wasn't shown that. I never saw him use Fishman karate. But he didn't need it. He did rely heavily on his natural given gifts of Fishman's strength. But I do think that Arlong was highly formidable in his day before he went to the East Blue and relaxed for many years. And he was still strong then. He was still able to give the Straw Hat crew a hell of a fight. One of the best group fights in One Piece. Just seeing Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, and Luffy have to work together as a crew for one of the very first times. It really helped Usopp when he fought Arlong's crewmate Chu to find who he is going forward. Arlong truly put these guys on a path. We got to see Sanji show how dedicated he was to the crew who he just recently joined at Baratier. We got to see how damn tough Zoro was. This truly was Zoro's biggest opponent yet, dealing with the Arlong pirate crew. When I think about it, I get so nostalgic because I love the Arlong Park arc and I love Arlong's character. And maybe it's more my imagination than anything else, but I'd love to see the guy again. I'd love to see him show up in an arc as a slave for one of the celestial dragons. This is just a fever dream of mine. And Nami shows pity on him and they free him. And then down the line, maybe, no, he does not join the crew, obviously, but maybe he sacrifices himself so that she can get away. That's my dream. Seeing Arlong, come to sacrifice himself for a human, that would be such a crazy turn of events. That would just get me all hyped up. I could see that happening. I definitely could. I do believe that Oda really liked the Arlong character. I don't think that he would have brought him back up again down the line at Fishman Island. I guess it does make sense to do so since they went to Fishman Island and he was a fishman. I don't know. I think Arlong's character design, is way better than Jinbei's, in my opinion. Jinbei's a cool dude, and he's collected, calm, he does his shiz, gets his work done, he's honorable, he's a warrior, and he's a badass. But I really liked Arlong's design. He was a ripped, shark, saw-nosed, tooth saw man, I don't know. But he had a badass sword, which got shattered by Luffy. Man, it would have been cool to see him in some cover stories, or to see him get the buggy treatment and get some more screen time, some more development down the line. I'd love to see where he is right now. He doesn't necessarily have to be a Celestial Dragon's prisoner. I would have been happy just seeing him in Impel Down. Seeing him in Impel Down would have been very cool, even if they didn't let him out of the cell, or seeing him join the Blackbeard Pirates, or something crazy like that. I don't mind if Arlong comes back an even worse villain. I actually would have been happy with Arlong being the main villain of Fishman Island instead of Hody Jones, which he did do his job. Hody Jones did his job. And he took a bunch of steroids, and he was, in a lot of ways, Hody Jones was manipulated by his environment like Arlong was, but by Arlong when he was a child, when Hody Jones was a kid. Arlong would talk about how superior the fishmen were to him. He created another villain. So it would have been kind of cool to see Arlong again after 2 years. I'd like to think that losing to Luffy, losing to a human, would either shatter Arlong completely, or it would inspire Arlong to become stronger, to form a stronger crew. It would have been a perfect villain, honestly, for the post-time skip era of One Piece to kick off. The greatest villain before they reach the Grand Line shows up again. Arlong, 2 years of training to get stronger. Even if he didn't necessarily train to get stronger, which I would hope he did, and learned some fishman karate or something, or got a new sword. But he would have those steroids, those energy steroids that Hody Jones was dealing with. Imagine Arlong on those. Oh, buddy, I can, and I think it would have been sick AF. It would have been so cool to see Arlong actually throw hands with Zoro, who is healthy at this point, who probably still could have crushed Arlong at that point, but it still would have been fun. But it would have also been fun to see Luffy and how far he's come since he dealt with Arlong the first time. Yes, Luffy would have crushed him and it wouldn't have been too much of a challenge. It depends on the writing, of course. But honestly, I think that Arlong deserves the crocodile treatment, the buggy treatment. He deserves a little bit of redemption. I know he killed Nami's mom, but there's a lot of characters in this series that have done some really bad shit. Look at Crocodile. He killed some people that were very good people. And he did this to accomplish his goals. That's what pirates do. Arlong was being a pirate, man. He was killing who was in his way. He was setting an example for the villagers of Nami's island, that I can't remember off the top of my head. But he was setting an example. He said, "Hey, pay up or you die." And her mom said, "No, I only have enough money to cover my kids. So let them live and kill me." And that's what happened. It was an honorable death. I know he is an evil man, but he was doing what he was taught to do. The humans did this to him. They put him in prison for trying to avenge his mentor. A man who wouldn't accept the human blood. This is not Arlong's fault. People do not understand Arlong. They do not respect him enough. I really like Arlong. That's where I'm going to leave this video off. I think he's great, and I hope we see him again. This has been my character analysis of Arlong the Fishman, one of the greatest villains in One Piece history. If you could comment down below, let me know your favorite moments that Arlong was involved in, the two arcs that he actually got to be involved in, the flashback, and then, of course, his own Arlong Park arc, one of the greatest arcs of all time. Let me know in the comments. Share this video. Share the word of Arlong. Tell Oda we want to see him again. Again. This has been More Fanime. Please subscribe. I'll talk to you later.